All right, so today I'm back to where it all began, which is my old house, mainly because I'm renting it out. But um, I wanted to show y'all this 135i I got. And for the people new to my channel, this is just one of several cars that I've had over the time. At this same property, we've had 2015 Mustang GT, 2002 Lexus IS 300 with a stick shift. Like, we done went through some cars here at this property. But anyway, so just walk around the car. So I got this 135i because I love the inline six. Almost taking it back to the IS 300. And granted, a 2JZ is way different than a BMW inline six. It's way more simple by design, I'd say, versus the Beamer. But I don't really want to get into that. I want to get into what this car is, what it means, and what you get for the money. So if I'm not mistaken, all 135s are like M Sport editions, or they come with like those M Sport accessories. So you get a big brake kit, front and rear. You get kind of a more open grille with the 135s, and you get a few other things like the interior. You get the sport seat, which is, to me, most of the time, all I really notice is, you got thigh extensions. I guess the bolstering is a little bit heavier, but yeah, car's a little dirty on the inside right now, but she's nice for a 2009. This car is really old, man. It's really old, so you can get them somewhat reasonably priced. Like, if I was to sell this car today, I wouldn't ask for over $10,000 for it, even though she's in good condition. But I kind of consider this car like the baby Supra of this day and age, or this time, especially if you're going to get an automatic. Like, I can't think of really anything else that can kind of like compare as far as having a turbo engine, inline six, and a decently shifting transmission in this size and weight. Okay, you get a back seat with the 135i. You get twin turbos versus single turbo. You get a pretty decent sized wheel on the rear. They come factory with 255s, if I'm not mistaken. No, these are actually 245s, so you get a little bit of traction out back. I really don't have traction problems in this car, even though it's tuned. It'll spin them if you really, really try hard, but other than that, you're not really gonna have that problem. But my experience with the car has been not so great because it is an older BMW, right? So you can expect certain problems. Even though my car was fairly maintained, I just been dealing with like really weird issues with the car. But that's the trade-off: buying a $50,000 car versus buying a $10,000 car, right? You got to give up something. I mean, I think the ride quality is good. I think the suspension does a pretty good job of handling, and I think that the car looks pretty darn good, in my opinion. The first time I saw this car, when I was like going out to buy it, I was like, I don't know if I'm really gonna like this car, because I never was even interested in one prior. I was mainly looking for a sedan, and I still kind of need a sedan, but I ended up buying this car because, like, when I went and looked at it, it was like raining, the water was just beading off of it, had good wax on it and all that stuff, and I was like, man, this car probably been taken care of, and the interior wasn't ragged out, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go and pay the man. And that's what I did. Like, I don't like wasting people's time. Going to look at cars, which, I mean, just because you look at a car doesn't mean you have to buy it, but I just don't like wasting people's time like that, especially if I'm interested and don't want to be going back and forth with somebody for like weeks at a time. So they have some weird accents in this car. I'm probably gonna paint these today, actually. I don't know why that one's just got a little piece of metal clip back there. It doesn't want to come up. Got to get that out. But it's a little flaking there. But overall, like, the dash in this car is great. Has a sunroof. The only thing, like, this little fabric. This little fabric here is a little loose. It's leaning down. I could probably re-glue that, but probably take some work. But other than that, though, like, nothing's really just going to crap in this car. So that's also a pretty good sign that you can pick these up and they not be crap. The seats in these cars hold up really well, so you won't really see like they're better than M3 seats in my opinion, because if you look at an E92 or whatever, like the seats in those are like the leather just like constricts and it just looks old as dirt. But these seats in these cars hold up extremely well in my opinion. So that's a really good thing. Same thing with the door panels, and for the most part, I mean, I had to re-glue this door panel, like that fabric piece or the leather piece there. I actually did a really good job on it because it's actually really smooth, and I didn't do anything to this one, and it's all weird. So I don't know if somebody glued this one, and I don't know if they put something hard on it or whatever. But anyway, that's also getting painted today, just to get the inside of the car looking just right. But I will say, I want to talk about the automatic with paddle shifters, right? Nice. Okay, as I've gotten older, I have become a paddle shifter snob, where I like driving automatics, and I like driving automatics that shift fast and give you control over the car. Because that's really what it's all about, in my opinion. Whether you're driving automatic, manual, or whatever, if you have a sports car, you need to be able to control what rev range you're in and the shifting of the car. That's all it is. That's what it's all about for me. So I can drive stick, I can drive manual, I can drive automatic. So, but yeah. So with a BMW, if you don't know, let's see if I can, sorry about the beeping. Let all that cut on. So with the automatic in a BMW, so when you're in drive, you can force a downshift, just like most cars. You can force a downshift by pushing in, and then it'll go back into drive mode. Like, I don't think it'll do it right here because I'm not even started, but yeah, it'll select your gear right where that D is at, and then it'll go back to automatic after you kind of perform a little pull or whatever else you're trying to do. But if you're in drive sport, which is over here, you will get more aggressive shifting behavior. Well, not more not shifting pressure or transmission pressure. You're gonna get, trying to get this to focus, you're gonna get better revs. Like, it's not gonna downshift to the it's not gonna upshift to the highest gear is what I'm trying to say. And it'll downshift a little early, not as early as say a G37. Like a G37, they have a different logic in their 7-speed automatic, where if you like really press the brake, it'll like downshift kind of early, like early, even before the speed decreases. It just knows like, okay, you're about to go down, you're about to be slowing down a lot, so let me go and give you that rev with the blip. And this car doesn't really give you those blips. I think the newer ZF 8 speeds do give you better blips, but if anything, that's probably like the only thing I could say. But it's just it's kind of like a different behavior, man, because even though it doesn't give you like a strong blip, when you downshift, it's very fast. It's not much of a weight, and that's a big thing for an older car, because this car, they probably started making this transmission in like 2008 or so. So like, for a transmission to be that old or developed in that year, like, I feel like it's fairly impressive. I feel like the shift speeds are very respectable, whether you're upshifting or downshifting. Upshifts are really good, downshifts are good enough. Like, when I first got the car, I felt like it was impressive, but I think now I would rate it good enough, like, to be performance oriented. Like, I don't have a loud exhaust in this car, so like, when I'm not looking at the tach, like, I don't really feel like I have any problems with my downshifts. Typically, when you have something audible and you're looking just dead at the road, like, you can kind of more or less focus on that aspect of it and know that, all right, I gave it a blip and I got my shift or whatever. But it's really good. You can drive sprint it in this car. I'll say that. Like, you're not gonna have any problems with that. Will it compare to a newer ZF 8-speed? No. I think that's where you get the biggest difference between, say, this and a Supra, where you get those 2 extra gears, a newer transmission, and the shifts. and probably the logic too. I'm sure the programming logic is way better when it comes to like being in a sport mode versus being in a sport mode and something like this. But like I said, it's really good enough in my opinion. The motor, we already know the B58 is a beast. It handles a lot of power, and the N54 has a reputation because it was one of the first twin turbo inline sixes, other than the greats, to come out in a long time and to still be in production somewhat, the inline six part of it anyway. But the engine is good. There's a lot of caveats to it though. You know, you might spend thousands of dollars in maintenance on the engine and still suffer a catastrophic failure, if you will. And the mileage, of course. You know, you're getting engines in higher mileage. You're buying an engine that has higher mileage on it because of the age. Therefore, you know, you might not get something that's fresh like a Supra. And I think that's really more of the downfall than anything, because I've seen a lot of B58 failures. Like, I've been seeing a lot of them, and my personal opinion is that so far, I don't think they're any better than the N54, outside of injectors. Injectors on the N54 are garbage. It's one of the worst designs, and pushes to be the first and to be the new thing I've ever seen. They are horrible, and they're extremely expensive. The aftermarket has not solved that problem. So what I mean is that a set of injectors for a N54 can easily cost $3,000, $3,000, 3,000. Like, it's that bad. So, you know, it's something you got to be aware of when you're buying these cars, because they might have old injectors that need to be replaced, or you might develop injector problems and you might need a new set. I mean, even used ones are expensive. I mean, that's a minimum of $1,000. Even if you get used ones these days, don't buy any eBay. I mean, don't buy any Chinese knockoffs or whatever, because that's probably not going to work out in your favor at all. But look up common issues with the car. Like, they're out there. People know about them. They have a few issues. Most of the issues though will present like a trouble code, check engine light or whatever. Looks exactly like this. Oh, dang it. Yeah, that's what you're gonna see, and you'll get those codes, and it'll pretty much direct you to exactly what's wrong, especially with the forums and stuff, because the car has been around for so long. There's so much information. The one I've seen that's probably the worst is that when you don't get a check engine code and you have like misfires. I think that's probably the worst one. But outside of that though, you know, it's fairly manageable to troubleshoot the car. But you know, skip that, edit that out. But yeah, this is about as good as it's gonna get, man. These days, I really can't think of anything else that really compares horsepower wise. Of course, you know, with this car, you need to tune it. You need to do the common mods to get the horsepower up to 400 horses, or, you know, competing in that area of where a Supra would be. But I think once you get it there, I think you'll be pretty decent. Like, these cars are like 300 pounds. I think they're like 3,300 pounds, which is light by modern standards. Like, people will probably look back at this car and be like, man, the 135 was so light, you know, outside of a Miata and a BRZ, you know. Like, people were like, man, that car was so light. Dude, that's a perfect car to build on. And in a way, if you can get a good one, I suggest buying it now, because the prices are probably going to go up. Like, I think the price on my car has gone up since I bought it. I don't know what that is. Hellcat. Typical, right? Okay, so, which brings me to a segue, which I love comparing everything to modern cars. So, if you want to have Hellcat power in this car, you're going to spend some money. You don't need a built engine or anything. You just need literally everything. You need all the support mods, you need all the tunes, you need all the fuel, and you can probably run with one with about 500 horses because the Hellcat is so heavy. You know, those cars are 4,400 pounds. If you can be 1,000 pounds lighter, 1,000 pounds make a huge difference. So you don't need that same amount of horsepower to compete or to hang with one. You just need the right power to weight ratio, right? So if you don't know what that is, look into that and get those numbers right. I think he's coming back. I don't know where he made that turnaround at. He came back so fast. That was like the first time I probably actually heard the supercharger on a Hellcat. Most of the time it's so quiet, you don't really hear it too much, but you know, we all just want to have fun, ain't it? So it don't always take a whole bunch of horsepower to have fun, but you know, I know what, I'm not gonna be ignorant and act like I don't know what world we live in and act like horsepower only matters to the person driving it. Like, everybody cares. Like, it's a flangy measuring tool, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. All right, guys, I hope I've made someone think about the 135i as a cheap alternative to their ultimate sports car today, whether it be a Supra, a Corvette, or whatever. And also, if you're like crazy about the dual clutch transmissions, look into a 135 IS. It has a dual clutch on it as well, and they only come on the N54s though, but that could also be a good really cool car alternative to something like a C8 if you are interested. So maybe I'll put more videos out here and what I compare each car to be to. I mean, what I can compare cars to be to. But all right, it's hot, I'm sweating, and I'm about to go make some pulls. GoPro coming soon. We're gonna mount that thing up and get some good angles. I can mount here on the sunroof, and yeah, we're gonna do some more of that stuff before we ship this baby off or do whatever we need to do with it. But peace.